Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. I'm your host, Stephen Topham Hatt the third at your service. We're going to be talking about this topic a bit seriously here because it's realistic, not fiction. Now, a lot of you are saying what's different this time, right? Because that's what the title of this podcast of today. What is different this time round compared to the last time, right? With all the acknowledgement that you know about me, of course, being blood related and all to the Hatts in general, right? With my father and my grandfather and a little bit on beyond that as well. We're not gonna go excluding what is unfolding in front of your eyes is what's confusing everybody else. Why? You see, people know people, right? We have to establish that. This is real. This is not fiction, right? So in reality, what you see is what you get. But at the same time, there's more to meet than meets the eye, right? There's a lot of families that are connected to the franchise through from their bloodlines, from beginning to end, middle and end, etc. But a lot of people know things ahead of schedule, which is what makes a story so damn interesting, because it's all calculations, which is what a lot of people don't do, right? So what is different this time round from what happened before? So you're talking about my father and myself, right? What did my father do that was wrong, but I'm not doing that? Why? Let me put this in perspective. My father and myself are totally two different people, right? I have not have done nothing wrong to this. What's happened, right? You have to establish what I fixed, what I put correct, what I'm trying to deal with, and what I'm sorting, right? Okay, there are 30 years gap in every time we sort this problem out. There's always a 30-year gap, right? A lot of people would say, yes, this is unfolded, this is true, this is all true. You know it's going to be true in the end because it's going to hit you in the face like a bolt of lightning. But it's not. It's telling you from what is unfolded, which is true. A lot of people know people, right? Which is true. They know me personally, but they know the contacts that I'm supposed to be in contact with, right? You, as the way it works this time round, because it's all different to a degree, as we all know. But there is a thing before the thing, but it actually goes forward, and you're ending up with saying, "Oh crud," right? Realistically, right? You have to realise what is different this time. What has changed? What has ultimately changed, but made it better, not worse? Why? You see, no one knows my father that well. That's what I'm saying. Their little pieces come in time, right? Everybody thinks they know my father that well. I'm telling you now, he's not the best man in the world. I would say in my layman terms, because he broke the barrier. He broke the safeguard to direction. I fixed that. Don't get me wrong. I did not do any harm in general. But then you're asking yourself the biggest question of all, right? What has changed from Thomas and the Magic Railroad? We know it's true. Things are getting fixed. But why? Why is myself always away from my father? I don't trust my real father in any angle, right? You have to go to terms with this and grow and realistically realise, oh crud. So what is different this time round? Right. So realistically, what we are dealing with is basically saying what is different this time round compared to my father and my grandfather. My grandfather did it correct with no hesitations, no exclusions whatsoever. What did my father do wrong that he should never done? Right? A lot of people don't see this coming until it hits them. Right? My father was admittedly from my mother's perspective, he was selfishly selfish, right? I'm not that, right? A lot of people will say, what's next? What did he do wrong that I am telling you properly? Why? Not everything in our families are perfect, right? I wasn't born yet, and my mother was right in her teenage years to adulthood, as it would be, and it established the fact that what is different this time round, that I'm not. I'm not like my father in any direction or shape or form. The only difference is that he ended up being a pain in the ass like he always had been, and the clues were all thrown at me. Why? Oh, let me give you a little haircut. Right? Every time I'm close by, so is he. But I'm not going against him, right? I'm telling you what's going to change this time round. What's making me different from my father. Because in the day, everybody's grudge, this grudge against me because everybody thinks I'm like my father. I said, no. I was brought up by my mother and, and my stepfather, Duck. Now work it out. Wake up and smell that coffee because now this is the truth. What is different from this time round compared to last time round? Work it out. It's two parts here, right? You had Lily, you had my grandfather, you then had his family on top, with everybody else and his connections of friends and family and also that on top, adding in the puzzle pieces, etc., etc., etc. Why? The problem is a lot of people say, oh, this has happened before. Well, it's going to continue as the bloodline goes down the line, right? You have to be realistic and say, look, okay, you got a third luck charm here. This is not like the first time round when it was easy. The second time was like very nasty, very naughty routine, as what my father would be, because he was. You know, you can't judge me because being my, let's say, in all plain eyesight, Charles Topham the second had the personality to Diesel 10. That's why he pulled my mother's hair by the driveway down back into my house, the former house that I lived in Crosby. So work that out. It's like saying then my grandfather stood up to him and, and said, "Don't touch my daughter like that or my mother like that." Boom, boom. Oh yeah, my father gave my grandfather a fat lip. So work it out. It's all logic, it's all facts, it's all truth. Get real. You know, everything that I'm saying is all truth, it's all logic, and it's all facts. What's different this time that I'm not doing what my father did? What did I do? I was brought up by my mother and my stepdad Duck. Quack, quack. Obviously, that's not the point. But the point is, I was brought up with my mother instead of my father. What makes it a lot harder at the moment. So what's different this time round than the last time round? Right? You gotta separate my father from me because we are two different individuals. We may be blood related, but what's the catch? You gotta get real. This is real life. This is not a thing that you can meddle with. Alright? Facts straight, right? You see, my grandfather warned you long time ago. This was going to unfold again and again and again from different as my bloodline goes down the line. A chain, if you will, like a chain of command. So if you work it out, if my son Richard is the next one in line, then my granddaughter Emily Helen Hatt's the next one down the line. Work it down the line. Then you got to realise that in the day, you're going to end up with saying what's different this time. Everything's changed, yes, for the better, not for the worse. Then people start moaning about something else. Right? which was the high priority to get that recorrected before anything else. My mother and I are working overtime because of this. This is not a joke. This is not a game. This is real life unfolding in front of your eyes. Ding, 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 ding. We're all connected, yes. So if you go back, when we were the proudest family all in bloody Britain and the United Kingdom and all, before when the railway even started in 1845. So go forward, it adds up, right? The facts add up, the connections add up, our friends, our family, our colleagues, all of it get connected. Why? You can't understand how it feels, right? Because you're all improving and evolving so bloody quick that you also didn't even realise it was unfolding in front of your eyes. Look at yourselves. Look what's been put out, right? I'm seeing all the changes. I'm seeing what is working well and not well with, right? A friend of mine, a private connection, told me that my my personal connection is very close to me, right? It could be a family friend, a connection, or something down the line that way, right? You have to be realistic and say, okay, it's happened before. Now you got me. Bang, right? That's not the problem. But did my friend from America state certain things that actually told you from many times that regardless that everything has its way of forward, of going forward and trying to let go of the past, it's not as easy as that. You have to go forward with it. It's a baggage that you gotta keep. You know what I mean? It's something that was born and bred from the day you were born. It's not just about what's next in line. You know, what's different this time. You know, got to realise, think about it. What I done is, I done a clever thing of staying away from who I'm supposed to stay away from, right? So I let them get on with their lives, I got on with mine, right? But there's a catch. Now everybody's asking, where's Richard Topham Hatt? Where's Emily Helen Hatt? They're not born yet, we know that. So work it out forward, then go back. Go back and realise what happened before, which I will not show on screen because of copyright issues. Acknowledge that you got this major weight on your shoulders right now, and it could impact on you in an enormous way, right? Things are gonna look up bright for you guys, right? People worried about things that may not come true because it is so advancedly right now. I've got the last piece of the puzzle with me. I know who my connection is, my family, my friends, and my colleagues. Why? Okay, there's a lot of people I know that are probably not as close as this and can't piece it together for all of us to able to complete the puzzle. We got the puzzle and it's all completed, but it's slowly progressing forward. We're not rushing through this. Why? A lot of you think you know my father that well. I said, no, he isn't the nicest man you ever met. He's trying to hide that side of himself because he doesn't want to be ashamed of what he did before, right? Every time I try to bring it up with him, he always said, shut up, be quiet, and leave it alone. Basically, his layman terms would say. But the reality factor is I know exactly what he feels and how he acknowledges it. But the way it's moving forward now, it's all fixed. So I'm not interrupting with him. I'm staying put with myself. Now, everything is moving forward slowly, right? You all know how it all works in the end. But the movie of Thomas and the Magic Railroad has a sequel, part two, which is comes into me. So work it out. There are things in there that's so bloody big you can't understand why is it unfolding again with a different twist. I didn't intervene as such, as other words of layman terms. I have actually realised who it is, what it is, who it is, what the connection is, what the family friend and connection and all of the others. Why? So you got to work out what's different this time. It's not just about the stories you've been told. Don't worry, it's not the stories about you told. I will tell you more true stories. There's more to come, but it does take time. But people don't realise how realistic it is. That's the thing. They thought it was just a normal children's book. It isn't. So when you got me, now you got to wait for my wife to show up, and then my son will come into play, and then my granddaughter will finalise it off, right? But then you're adding a big question on the shoulders. What happens to the Hatt family after Emily Helen Hatt? Well, the answer lies from within. So if I said to you, right, logically down the line, people don't realise how lucky they are until they lose it, right? We're not going to lose it, right? Because that's the thing I am preventing because I'm still young in my prime of 40 years old. But there's one thing. A lot of people assume to me that everybody thinks I'm like my father. How could I be if I lived with my mother all my years? Work it out. It's a simple question and it's a simple answer. What's different about me compared to my father? There's a big difference, right? There's a big, big, bloody damn difference. We may be strict and stern, that's the only connection you're going to get out of me and my father. But the other half, well, 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 it's gone directly right into the steam for me, and the diesel side stayed with my father. Why? Because that's how it worked. So he didn't like me after I was born. That's why he had 1 year and pissed off. He never cared about me. He never worried about me. You wanted to know why the Pat family's got a 30-year gap? Because I never knew my father that well. Right? I only know bits and bobs from him. All the connections were there. Oh yeah, well Glenn the coffee pot engine was around. Yes, we got to give him props on that because he was already in motion, knowing what's unfolding. So keep going forward, and then you ended up. He's my cousin, right? Think about it. It's realistic, right? You got my cousin Glenn, and then you got Len. It's all connected. Ding, ding, ding. Starting to slowly connect again. But why? The Hat's always been around, but you weren't seeing us. Why? We were well safeguarded. So what's different this time compared to the last time? My mum didn't get pulled by the hair this time, obviously, because she's a lot older and wiser, and she's in her 65 years old to 66 years old. So work it out, right? So as the time flies forward, so would I. But this year, on 2024, you got your deadline mark right there. So you have to take 20 years off to actually remember, oh, it's your grandfather's year of death, basically, if you like to call it, on your mother's side of the family. Correct. But that's not what I'm talking about here. What we're trying to establish with you is tell you exactly why me and my father never get on well. I, I disowned him the day he left me. Right, I may be young and naive and been brought up in the Southern way like my grandfather brought me up in, but in the day, you have to realise I didn't get onto the platform until I was 5 years of age, but I didn't become a volunteer until 2001. Now, work that out. Makes some bloody damn sense, don't it? Then, All the clues are starting to come in for me. Found all the answers, got all the answers, but I'm not making the same mistake as what my father did. So what do you think I'm not doing? Acting really what you would call that's what my father wanted, but he wouldn't get it. So because I'm a steamy lover, not a diesel lover. A lot of people think this is all a joke. I said no, it isn't a joke. After all, what your eyes witnessing it, and while your eyes and ears are all witnessing it, all eyes and ears everywhere, we know everything, right? I'm not gonna bullshit from the bush, right? That's what's different this time, right? There's one thing is that I doing what I was meant out to do, right? Realistically, down the line, you're asking, I'm not making the same mistake as what my father did. Why? Because I have high respect for myself. Right? I know I may be strict and stern, but I'm joking and cocky. What's the difference between me and my father? What is different? On his side, he has that strict and stern, but he's also got this bloody problem of Diesel 10's personality. Now work that out. That's my father for you. And then he's got a son that's a steamy lover. Ding ding. Work it out. Why? Been brought up. You see? So when 5 years old, book 32, go forward. Then you add it, it's all adding up in your head, in calculation wise, and then you ending up realizing I'm a volunteer by 2001, and I still go to college and school and everything else, safeguarding everybody else. Why? While all of you are all trying to be like unsubscribing to my channel, as example, I am watching eyes and ears everywhere when you're on that computer or when you're on the iPad or when you're watching on television and you're understanding everything. You got the corrections and you got all that, but I'm not like my father. If anybody tells me I'm like my father, I'm gonna, you know, put you in your place. Of course, in any angle, sir. Well, you're a good guy, sir. So it's like, say, Thomas, in every angle. Like, you see, in the end of the day, you're seeing it. That I'm a Thomas connection, not the Diesel 10 connection. Why? Because I am more really useful since the day I was 5 years of age. So went forward, 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 right? My mother got married the second time to a duck, right? And you're ending up with season two, and you go forward, and you go forward, and then you go forward, 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 and then everything starts to add up, right? The only thing that screwed up nearly everything, which is why I say it goes back to my real father. He did poke Duck, he did poke me, yes. What does he think he was going to accomplish? Nothing. Why? Because Donald and Douglas was keeping him in check. Why? Because I can't motivate as quickly as I normally would. Right? So you're ending up with the whole truth in front of your eyes. What's different this time? Right? People started panicking. People started being very panicky. Why? Not because of me in general. People, right? All my friends, all my connections at college and school and everything else, they all my rolling stock. They all my truckloads. Why? Connections. Right? They all connected to one source. To there's there's normally about 5 or 12 of us connected. 12 powerful families. Coopers, the Hatts, the Mansons, the full whack, all at once. What are you getting? A hat in the end. Why? Because the hats are needed again. Full power, full head on. But this one is a steamy leather, and you know, in the day you got me, right? The only thing is, people don't realise now you're seeing the sense and the logic. The people I'm talking to, communicating with, and everything else, everything is connected for a reason, right? Now it's a waiting game, right? I'm not gonna, right? I'll play nice, and I'll always be the nicest person on the planet. But the way my father was, He's Diesel 10 and the fat man Charles Topham Hatt II. Now, that's not a good combination. That's a two-faced communication, two-faced direction. While with mine, it's only Thomas and the fat man. So you get the nicest side of the family and the nicest side of the fat controller. But it's taking time. It's, it's taking its time and toll and slowing it down a bit. Why? Time is the essence. Time is going forward, right? All the years and the dates are all adding up, but the fact is, you're ending up with a nice guy on the radar right now, right? I can't run as fast as I used to be, but the thing is, I am Thomas the Tank and the Fact Man, the Fact Controller, third gen Stephen Toppenhat the third, which is blood related. But there's a lot of people telling me I've got so many connections. One of them will pull that string on me, and they will tell me, you, I need you because I need you. Ding. I won't mention this person's name because I know it's the female side. The lady hat you all want, right? I'm not going to her. I'm being patient, right? Easiest way. It's an easy way without forcing. Thank you very much. But that limited terms in every angle that you're not seeing the full thing unfold correctly because it's not always shown in your face, right? You have to get real on everything. My father wasn't perfect, but he was nasty to my mother. That's one thing. That's why me and my father are totally different people. One is the nice, one is the evil side. Bang! That makes it me the steamy and my father the diesel side. Why? Because he married somebody that hates my guts anyway. In every angle. Thank you very much.